first week of March, so that means that my Le Petite 3 came in, and it has one of the prettiest covers I have seen before. If you don't know what Le Petite 3 is, it's a small newspaper compiled by some lovely ladies. Follow them on Instagram. They post about different things that are coming up. But it's just a way for you to have something really pretty to have in your life. There's different things inside. I don't want to show too much. Just little articles about, like this month, there's some stuff about spring cleaning. They have a lot of beautiful art inside. There's also a section on Japanese art inside as well. For this particular edition, there are articles and think pieces or what have you on fashion, how you are designing your space. There's a little quiz to uncover what kind of space you are looking for. And then there's a recommendation page too, which I always look forward to because there are book recommendations and sometimes there's beauty recommendations. Also, I haven't done it yet, but there is a crossword puzzle is the word. They have a crossword puzzle on the back of every edition, which is always fun. I know it's not weekly like the New York Times had, but who has time to do it weekly? I enjoy a monthly one because I am busy with work and other things, reading, knitting. Recently, I have been working on my Wintergarden Pullover. So this is the body and I am working on the sleeves. As you can see here, they're coming along really, really well. This is the first one. So I have up until here done. This part is actually the part that's within pattern. And then I have now gone off pattern because the yarn that I'm using is smaller than the recommended one. So it is of course much smaller than the pattern goes up to. So I'm gonna just keep repeating this checkerboard pattern up here until here where I'll join it with the sweater itself. And I do like that it's a little bit of a break from the flowers. I love the flowers so much, but I think the checkerboard adds in like a nice little break just for this bicep area. I did get in my first book for the fantasy series that is currently going on at the Broken Binding, which is the only subscription that I have. I canceled my others just because while they were putting out good work for sure, I was finding myself trading those books in just because I wasn't super interested in reading a lot of the books that were coming out. That's not because they were bad books, but I tend to lean more towards high fantasy and sci-fi for special editions that I'm purchasing, and they weren't putting those out, which is not their fault. That is not what they necessarily cater to. Broken Binding does, though, deal with more high fantasy and science fiction, so I have subscriptions for those two categories from that company. And right now they just are working on the Rook and Rose is what they're calling it, or is the name of the series. I haven't read it before, but the first book in the series is The Mask of Mirrors, and I think this art is really, really pretty. This book is very pretty, especially when you open it up. The end paper art inside is very, very pretty. I think the end papers are gorgeous as well. Back has a rose. And then inside, on the back, there's more artwork. So I believe there are 2 more books in this series that I'll be getting until they switch to the new next fantasy series that they'll be doing up until June, I think will be the last one. So that's also 3 books. So I have 2 more books for this, and I thought this one was signed, but maybe it's not. Guess it's not. Oh yeah, it is the Rook and Rose series. That's why it's called that, which makes sense. I love a good map. I love a good map. If a book doesn't have a map, I don't want to say it's not worth reading it, but if a book doesn't have a map, I don't want to read it. I like good world building, and I think a map is essential for that. So I'm excited for the next 2 of these books to come in, and I haven't read it yet. I actually haven't even read the Dragonbone Chair series, which was the last series that they did. And I have the full set now, which is 4 books. The art for that was amazing. I feel like they do keep using similar or the same artist for a lot of the books that they're doing. And he's a great artist, but I really wish that they would diversify and to use more artists for more of their books. That is one of the things that I really loved about Illumicrate and Owlcrate, I will say, is the variety of art and artists that were working on their subscription books and just general special edition books. There were so many art styles for each of the different books that they had, and it was very refreshing to see. I think that they lean a lot on one particular artist at the Broken Binding, and he's a fantastic artist, like insane. He did the art, or is doing the art for Aragon, the Inheritance series, which is one of my favorites, and that art looks incredible. But yeah, I wish that they would use more people to put out more work, because there aren't as many, there's not so much work that is there or out there now for a lot of artists in the book world. I feel like because there's such a, I don't want to say prevalence, because I feel like it's still very frowned upon, but there are people who are turning to AI to put out work for book art, which I do not support. AI is terrible. It's extremely terrible for the environment. I'm an environmental scientist. If you use AI, you are using a lot of water. For each question, query, whatever you're trying to do, you are using a lot of water, which is really detrimental to the environment. Once water is kind of really used and the capacity that they use it for AI, you can't really fix it at that point. You can't clean it and make it acceptable for drinking or human consumption or use. So AI is very bad for water and the environment. Don't support it ever. But yeah, back to the point. I wish the Broken Binding would use more artists for the work that they do.